All right. Come on over, kids. We're going to go ahead and get started. Great to see so many people turn out on a Wednesday. This is a huge surprise. We had no idea how many folks would be out, but we're really glad that you're here. My name is Frank Tashan. I am the Director of Coaching Administration for U.S. Soccer, and our colleague Zach Crawford, Coach Educator in the Grassroots aspect, will be leading this wonderful group of kids here from our local community. The idea behind the next hour is to make sure that we can help each other understand how to meet the needs of these young children through this game of soccer. The idea is connected to grassroots soccer, and specifically the grassroots coaching education pathway. You may be seeing or hearing over the next couple of days a new pathway connected to grassroots licenses. So within U.S. Soccer, you may be aware that we have these Pro and A and B and C licenses, and we're going to be launching the grassroots licensing component to our pathway. And that is connected to these 4 versus 4, 7 versus 7, 9 versus 9, and 11 versus 11 playing environments with children of the appropriate age group. So as today proceeds, we're going to connect what we're doing in this play, practice, play philosophy to a larger picture about grassroots soccer, grassroots players, grassroots coaches, and ultimately to the pathway and opportunities for coaches to gain grassroots licenses through U.S. Soccer. So in terms of audience, I don't know how many people here spend their lives in grassroots environments, and by grassroots we mean first experiences. Early and first experiences for players, and early and first experiences for coaches. It's the coach, the voluntold, as we've been referred to, the coach that steps up. There's a gentleman here, Joe, with a big shirt, volunteer, it says across it. That's the type of coach we're looking to bring in to our environment. So when we talk about grassroots, it's players getting their first experiences in the game. It's coaches coming in, volunteering, giving of themselves, maybe without a lot of experience or knowledge or understanding. And how do we create the most effective environment for these children to first and foremost love the game, learn it, love it, stay in it, and continue to play? And how do we help coaches through our education to have an experience worth repeating? All of us want to do something that's worth repeating. If these kids have a great time, they're going to want to repeat it. If the coaches have a good time, they're going to want to repeat it. So this is the idea behind what we're going to do today, and we're going to bring that to you through a play, practice, play, player development philosophy. So Coach Zach is actually going to start organizing the kids.
Head back to the field that you were on before and go ahead and start playing. So Sylvia, Eduardo, your group was over here, yeah? You can grab one ball from each side. Tony, your group was over there, yeah? Yeah, you can stay over there, Will. That's fine.
And what you'll begin to see, Zach and I will sort of ping-pong back and forth here a little bit. He's working with the players, and I want to support you in terms of understanding what's happening. So to begin with, we want to bring to you the grassroots player development philosophy. And to the extent you can read the letters on the screen, I made them as big as I could. The grassroots player development philosophy is the starting point for what we do. And it talks about at the grassroots level, children learn and develop to their full potential through game-like experiences in an enjoyable environment that supports individual growth. So let's break that down a little bit. First and foremost, they learn and develop to their potential. We believe every single player has talent. Every single player has potential. And we have the responsibility to help those players reach that potential. Game-like experiences. When we look at the grassroots environment, we should see soccer being played. We should see this idea of unstructured free play taking place, because this is where they learn. The game is the starting point for everything we do. It's not about technical drills and tactical drills and splitting up the physical and the mental and all the different components. It's about playing soccer, which is holistic. It's all of those things happening at the same time. Enjoyable. If it's not worth doing over, it's probably not worth doing in the first place. So how do we create an enjoyable experience for them? One way is to have them playing. Another way is to have a coach that really makes it fun for them. And we want to individualize their learning. So how can we help every single one of these children today, every single one, through individual attention, through unconditional care, get a little bit better, love the game a little bit more? So that's the player development philosophy for grassroots soccer. We break this down into a bit of a why. So why play, practice, play? Why this player development philosophy? The actual training sessions Zach's going to take the kids through demonstrates that. And we have identified a methodology, if you want to use the fancy word, called play, practice, play. And as it suggests, the kids, and you can see that, what's the very first thing they do at practice? Play. They started out by playing. And I asked you earlier to observe their behavior when no adults were around. And what did they do? They played. They played and played and played. There was no coach. There was no adult. There was enough supervision to make sure they were safe. And they played. So why do we want to bring this play, practice, play forward? Because it gives them what they like. It motivates them intrinsically. It gives them what they need. When they go to the game on Saturday, it won't be the first time they've played the game that week. The transfer from practice to the game is simple. It's a smaller gap. If they're playing and learning through play here, and then they go into their game on Saturday, the transfer is simple. There's not really much to do other than keep playing. And we'll structure a learning environment here as well, and you'll see how that develops so that they actually come away with some learning. The ability to read, analyze, and decide. Who's making the decisions on the field right now? The kids. What has the coach done? He's observing, and I'm rambling on over here with you. The kids are making decisions. They're reading the game. They're analyzing the situation. They're deciding what to do. Without somebody commanding them and telling them, they're given the freedom to explore their game and find their own solutions. They're able to be creative because no one's telling them what to do or what not to do. Everything is okay as long as it works toward meeting the objective of the game. So they can create and explore without the fear of being told that something was wrong, hopefully with the praise of being told, keep going. Even if it didn't come off, keep trying. They can reflect, and you'll see throughout the training session, play, practice, play gives players of all ages an opportunity to reflect, to think about what they just experienced, and to think about how they could do it better, and to think about how they can develop themselves. So reflection is a really important piece. They learn to learn. And you'll see how this works. They learn to learn. They get to take responsibility for their own learning. And through that, they get to be independent critical thinkers. Because as you see at the bottom on the right there, it's not about soccer only. It's about them turning into independent, social, responsible, and accountable adults. So we're giving them these environments here through soccer to help them out through life.
And come on in, players. Come on in. Don't be last. You got 5 seconds. 4, 3. Come on, Deontay. Everybody. Mark, bring your group. Mark, come on in. They just want to play.
Isn't that brilliant, right? Isn't that great?
All right. Good try, guys. Come on in now. Don't be last. Deontay. All right. Time for a break. Okay. I have a question for the group. Eyes here. Okay, I don't need an answer right now, so just something for us to think about while we take the break and we'll go get some water. Okay, maybe you can even talk to a teammate about it. The first question for you is, how can you find an opening? Just think about it. Just think about it. How can you find the opening? And once you find the opening, or if you can't find an opening, how can you create that opening? Okay, so don't tell me right now. Go get a water break. Tell your teammates. We'll come back and we'll start playing. Maybe you can show me how you can find an opening.
Yeah, so what you see on the screen there is the play, practice, play training session plan. And it's broken down into a few categories. Coming through the Grassroots license experience will give you a lot of opportunity to explore this training session plan a bit more. But for now, I'll just point out a couple of things. It starts out with a goal. And the goal of the training session is based on the game. The goal here is to improve building up in the opponent's half in order to create chances. So just think about that. Improve building up in the opponent's half in order to create chances. So that's really soccer. It's based on what we call the U.S. soccer roadmap. And this idea of the goal being very connected to the game is the first step. We have developed what we call player actions. And the player actions are what we help the players get better at to meet the goal of the game. So the player actions for today are pass or dribble forward, spread out, shoot. Again, within the grassroots context, first experiences for coaches, first experiences for players. The goal, to improve building up in the opponent's half in order to create chances. And the player actions we want to work on here are passing and dribbling forward, spreading out, and shooting. In order to help those player actions come out, players need qualities. They need specific qualities. And we've identified player qualities that help them develop these player action abilities and meet the goals of the training session. So today, the key qualities, these player qualities, are read the game, make decisions, take initiative, and technical execution. So read the game, make decisions, take initiative, and technical execution. So that's the idea behind the training session for today. It's about improving building up in the opponent's half. It's about passing, dribbling forward, and shooting, and spreading out. And it's about taking initiative and reading the game and making decisions and technical execution. So that framework is where Zach will move the kids throughout the training session toward. You heard him ask some questions. And the questions he asked are here. Let me get out of the way of the players. They're called guided questions. And we use the approach of guided discovery for the players. So we help them, support them in finding their answers. And we've got guided questions. So the guided questions for today are, how can you find an opening? How can you create an opening? And what can you do if you see an opening? So think about players in the context of the game finding those little solutions themselves. Zach, at some point here, will begin to use keywords. And these keywords are another piece to the coach's toolbox that they can use to help trigger the behavior we're looking to improve. So I'm going to leave it over to Zach now. And Zach will, in this first phase...
Okay. Did you get hit in the tooth?
Because it made me fall.
That's okay. I think you're okay.
Notice we create a very realistic environment. Little injuries, kids all over. This is it. This is actually a very artificial environment,
He's okay
right?
right here.
Because we have really good equipment. We've got really good lighting. We've got all of you here. But think about the grassroots environment, what that's really like.
Can you find the opening?
That's what we need to get to. So Zach is going to introduce these keywords and use these guided questions, which he asked the players, and help them start to explore some possible answers to them.
Hey, can we pass or dribble forward there? Good, dribble. Take him on. Good, keep dribbling. Nice. Woo, look at that. I like your creativity there, Tony. Well done. Good, dribble in there, Mark. Nice. Great goal, Mark. Well done. Hey, Mark, I like the way you dribbled forward there and you kept the ball under control. Great job. Good. Can you dribble forward, Sylvia? Dribble. Yeah, keep dribbling. Go ahead. Good. Leave it. Get it. Grab another ball right there. Hey, just grab that ball. Here you go, Abe. I'll take that. Deontay, you can go back and play. Thank you.
So it's pretty difficult, really, when we talk about coaching education in this environment, to be as effective as we'd like to be. Because in the perfect world, you'd all be on the field coaching the players, and we'd be guiding you, right? Because they're learning by doing. So your learning by doing would be all you come on down here, and we'll have you coach the kids, and we'll work with you in helping guide them. And that's what the licensing courses are about. It's bringing you in and helping you be able to help the players. One of the things you'll notice, besides me, because again, this is a bit artificial, is the amount of silence on the field from Zach. You hear the kids. The kids are buzzing. They're chirping. They're doing their thing. Zach is balancing silence with feedback. And this idea of silence is so important to allow the players their time to think, reflect, enjoy, and play.
Hey, Jacob, let's make sure the ball goes out, that we play it back in how it was, okay? So let's get the ball back to Eduardo. I think it went over the line, yeah? Hey, can you pass forward there, Eduardo? Good, nice job, well done. Hey, good try, though. Good stuff, Eduardo. Got 30 seconds left. Good, dribble on there. Nice try, Ed. And time. Come on into me. Quickly in the middle, leave the soccer ball. Good job, Abe. I like the way you're dribbling out there. Hey, nice job dribbling towards the goal over there. Almost got a shot off. I like that. Good job. Come on, Will. Over here. Don't be last.
The reality of grassroots, right? So in that little moment,
take a breath.
Does the coach jump in? Do we have a long conversation? Do we start throwing out punishments? Or do we see what happens next? Do we wait maybe a second? And let's just see if those two figure it out. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
Okay. Let's review those two questions that we asked earlier. The first one was, how can you find an opening? How do we find an opening out there? Jacob? I'm sorry? Moving around. Okay, so we found an opening by moving around, but maybe before we were moving around, what were we doing with our heads?
We're thinking of where there's a better place to receive the ball.
Okay, so you're thinking about a better place, yeah? And if you can't find an opening, how do you create that opening? How do you find that better place? What do you have to do?
Find a person that's open and then pass it to them.
Okay, so hands to ourselves, guys, okay? So if we can't find an opening, we have to create one. And you said it earlier. We have to move around, right? And once you have found an opening or if you created one, what can we do with the soccer ball? Yeah, Naomi, we can pass it or we can do what? If you have the ball, you can either pass it or how else can you move the ball forward? And 1 second. Hey, guys, 1 second. Pass or maybe dribble. Yeah? Go grab some water. Go grab some water. We'll come back when everybody's ready.
So this is great because this is reality. There's nothing being staged here. There's no rehearsal. It's kids being kids. So Zach said, I've got a few in their little moment. I've got the attention of a few. You saw a couple start to, and then he said, okay, hold on, get a drink. So it's this constant space. And the grassroots coach is that parent volunteer who's never stood in front of a group of kids before, who's never coached soccer before, who's never played soccer before. Perhaps. More and more, maybe they've played more and more, and they've watched more and more. But they've never stood in front of that group. And they've got all those parents behind them who didn't step up, and they're the ones who did step up, and this is their reality. So it's a matter of thinking through, and as we go, we want you to observe and observe Zach, the players, and the environment.
Okay, let's go back out. Let's play one more time. We'll play for just a couple of minutes here, okay? We're thinking about how can we find that opening by doing what? Okay. Looking around, right? And if we look around and the opponents have moved and have closed that opening, now what do we have to do? We have to move and make them move. Yeah? Like you said, Sylvia. Good. Let's go back out and play. We'll play for 2 more minutes, okay? Exactly.
So Zach brought them back in, and then he wanted to get some feedback from them. What were their answers? What were their solutions that they found?
Down there.
And this first phase, called the first play phase, again, connecting the training session goal, player actions, and key qualities with guided questions and keywords. And that starting point gets us off and running. I'm going to skip to something now, which you'll see Zach start to take us through. And this is a tool called the 5 elements of a training activity. We want to know if what we're doing is effective. And we want to help the grassroots coach know what to observe. Because we know grassroots coaches, and all of us at one point were grassroots coaches. We started out, and we looked out on the field, and we saw all these kids. And what could we make of it? Very little, right? You look out on the field, and you see chaos. Where should I look? What should I do? So this framework helps us organize the coach and the coach's observations to make sure that the kids are in an effective training activity. So I'll have Zach take you through the 5 elements.
All right, so first thing that we're looking at here is it organized? So is it organized in a safe manner? And we have this space between the fields here, so the games aren't up on side of each other. There's a little bit of room, safety buffer, should the ball go over, should the players go over. We have this here. Second, is it game-like? Yeah, this looks like the game of soccer. Okay, everything that we do starts with the game. It must be game-like, it must be realistic. So yeah, we have direction, there's attacking, there's defending, there's those moments in between that seem to be happening a lot of we're losing the ball or we're winning the ball, and that's okay. That's what happens at this grassroots level a lot. Okay, so is it game-like? Yes. And now we're looking at repetition. And we're talking about not technical repetition or repetition of a skill, but repetition of our training topic, our training session goal, which today our training session goal is improving build-up in the opponent's half in order to create chances. So let's take a look here. An opportunity to build up. Doesn't mean that we did it right, but there was an opportunity there to build up. Hey, Will, can we pass it or dribble it forward there, okay? So repetition of the topic. We're getting opportunities there. There was Jacob dribbling in. Sylvia's there, an opportunity for those two to build up. So, yes, repetition is there. And so now we work through the next step. Like the 5 elements are a checklist that we use. So now we work through the first 3. We're now on number 4, which is challenge. We're talking about the challenge for both teams. Is there a balance between being successful and not being successful? So we want to make sure that they're being successful about half the time. Because if they're always successful, they're going to get bored. And if they're never successful, they're going to get frustrated and they're going to quit. So we want them to be in that halfway part where they're slightly aroused in a way that they're halfway successful and balancing it with being unsuccessful. So they're not too bored or they're not too frustrated. Once we get through those 4, now we can get to the coaching. And this is where most coaches want to jump to automatically. We oftentimes don't have the first 4 correct. The organization's wrong. The space is too small. The goals aren't set up correctly. And so we can't even get into coaching if the organization isn't there. So we have to work through the first 4 steps. Is it organized? Is it game-like? Okay. Are we getting repetition of the topic? And then is it challenging? And once those 4 are there, now we can step in and start to work on the coaching, which we'll do here in the next phase. As we move into the practice phase, you'll see a little bit more coaching as we'll get in and use the coach's toolkit. All right, players, quickly grab a sip of water, a soccer ball, and come find me. Get a sip of water, a soccer ball, and come find me. Mark, are you okay?
Okay. So Zach will transition into the practice phase. So that's the play phase. And it's 20 minutes of really free play. There's some subconscious messaging happening that they are understanding something around, well, the theme of the day. It's something about attacking. It's something about dribbling and passing forward and shooting and spreading out. And it's something about in the opponent's half. So there's this idea of giving them some shape around it. Maybe tomorrow's session, Zach is saying, see if you can steal the ball. See if you can steal the ball. How do you steal the ball? Maybe that's the topic for tomorrow. So every session has a topic. And actually, through our grassroots coaching education environment, the candidates and the license holders who take the courses will have access to buckets of play, practice, play training sessions. And they're all based on attacking and defending. And what we've identified is 6 goals, no more than 6 goals for the training session topics in the grassroots environment. So you see the 5 elements of an activity. And one of the things we ask ourselves is, well, what if the answer to any of those is no? It's not organized. It's not game-like. There isn't repetition according to the goal. They're actually not getting across midfield so they can never build up in the opponent's half because that's the goal, but they're not able to get the ball across the midfield line. And it's not challenging because one team is just scoring way too easy. Well, now we start to think about how we adapt the activity. And how do we help the grassroots coach understand how to adapt the activity based on the 5 elements? So what are some things they could do? Well, they can change the size of the space. They can change the numbers of players. They might change the ways that the goals are scored or what the goals actually are. They might change some of the rules. So we try to give them tools to help those 5 questions be answered with a yes, and the coaching becomes effective connected to that. So this is a tool that they can use throughout.
And so you can't come out, but you
So we've just come through the play 1 phase. And again, so you can see it, the purpose is to create intentional free play, get the players playing the game, focus their attention, to give the coach an opportunity to observe the players in order to determine, and this is key, in order to determine where they need to improve in order to meet the goal of the training session. So obviously Zach is seeing these kids for the very first time and probably the very last time, but imagine in your club you're with them week in and week out. So when I start that session, I'm observing them and seeing, are they meeting the goals of the training session? And how can I help them move toward that? That's that first phase of really observing and giving them that chance to play. Zach is going to take them in a moment to the practice phase. And in the practice phase, it says here now that they will actively learn through guidance from the coach. So the practice phase is where we have targeted activities based on the goal, looking at the player actions and the key qualities. And Zach will now take them through this practice phase where they will actively learn through guidance from the coach.
So, how many times can you dribble back and forth across the grid while staying away from the 2 defenders in the defending zone? So you guys, Abraham, Eduardo, are in the defending zone, and we know who they are because they're holding up these nice pink bibs. Okay? We're not wearing them. We're just going to hold them. So if Tony was to dribble across, Tony. Let's say I was a defender, and I took the ball from you, Tony. Maybe. You're a pretty good player. All right, I got you. So now I'm going to throw it down and switch, and now I become the attacker. So that would be you, Abraham. Yeah? Okay, so that's how that works. Any questions on how we play this game? Have you guys played this before? All right, here's a question that I love. Coach, can we play? I'm sorry, what? Yes, we can, Mark. Ready, set, play.
So you notice Zach did a demonstration. And maybe for most of the people in the room, doing a demonstration is a very simple, automatic thing.
Yeah, he's got to stay there.
But I'm a Grassroots parent, and I'm out there for the first time. So we're going to help the coach also understand how to effectively demonstrate, and when to demonstrate, and what to demonstrate. So all these little ways to intervene and help players learn goes back to the aspect of this Grassroots coach who showed up today for the first time. And in the youngest age groups, sort of the U6, U7, U8, U9, U10, that's where a lot of these first experiences for Grassroots coaches happen. That's where they tend to start out.
Good. Dribble forward, Mark. Well done. All right, good. And let's hold there. Seems like we need a little breather. Come on in, everybody. Get to where you can see my eyes. You don't need to touch the soccer balls. Come on, Naomi. Tony, hey, let's go. Over here. Come on, Deontay. That was a great goal, but come on over here, buddy.
Notice there has been nothing but positive reinforcement. There's not been one word critical. And we can get players to be better and constructively bring them forward through positive reinforcement and through positive feedback.
So I saw some really nice dribbling forward out there. Yeah, that was great, Tony. I like the skills that you were using. All right. But if you look up and you found that opening, okay, how do you get through the opening? You can dribble through the opening, right? And if you want to dribble out into that space, what kind of touches do you take into that opening? A long touch, right? Or a hard touch, right? If you look up and the opening's closed, because who's there? Yeah, the defender's there. What type of touch do you think you need to take then? skill. So what kind of touch is that? Is that a long touch? A short touch, yeah. Short touch, is it hard? Or is it soft? Okay, so when do we take that soft touch? Okay, when we're close to the defender. And when do we take that hard touch? Okay, when we see that opening, right? So let's go back again and let's see if we can find those openings and know when to take the soft or hard touch. Let's get two new defenders. Two new defenders. Sylvia, you want to jump in there? Deontay, you like to defend, don't you? Stay in there for us. All right, guys, back to the starting position. 3, 2, 1. Sorry, Will, what was that? Can we play? Let's play.
So Zach has done something here which you can't see, but I'm going to show it to you. It says in the practice phase, keywords, we're adding the keywords soft and hard touches, and we're adding the questions, how do you keep the ball close? How do you dribble faster? And how do you dribble through if you see an opening? And how do you dribble if there is no opening? And if you notice, through guided questions, he was able to get the players to come up with soft touches and hard touches. Through a series of questions and follow-up questions, they answered on their own by thinking about it, having just experienced it in the activity, now thinking about it, and now going back into the activity again to see if they can apply this soft and hard touch idea based on when they can find an opening.
Abraham.
All of that is very deliberate.
I saw that, Abe. Nice small touches there, Abe. Now, which ones do you take? Good. Switch them out, Sylvia. All right, so as I work my way through the 5 elements now, we look at, is it organized? Yes, the kids understand what the rules and the structure of the game is. Is it game-like? Yes. Okay. Is it challenging enough? Or we're getting repetition of the topic. Yes, that's number 3. Repetition, we're getting repetition, we're building up opportunities to dribble forward. But now I'm looking at challenging, and I'm thinking that our players are having a lot of success here. So if they're having success, how do I modify this training exercise? And I go from the core practice activity to now maybe into the more challenging activity. So for the more challenging activity, all we simply do is pick up the defending zone and now let those defenders go everywhere. So, Naomi, now you're free to go anywhere you can. Same for you. No more defending zone.
Let me put a little bit into context what Zach just did. He mentioned the word core activity and more challenging. So in all of our play, practice, play training session plans, we start out with a core activity. That was the one you just saw. And based on observing, based on the 5 elements, we can go to a more challenging or less challenging activity. And that's given to the grassroots coach. The grassroots coach isn't designing training session plans. They're picking them, they're selecting them based on the age and the game format and the needs of their kids. So they see, okay, I was taught to look to see if it's challenging. I see it's too easy. There's a more challenging activity right here. So I convert, switch over to the more challenging, and that's where Zach has taken them here.
Good, and time. Come on in, everyone. Come on, Jacob. Come on, Anthony. I see you all the way over there.
Notice Zach's position with the children as well. Little
Come on
tiny
over,
things.
Will. We'll get a water break in just a minute. We'll get one, Deontay. Don't worry. All right, so eyes right here. Tony, I'll talk when I can feel all of your eyes are on me because I have a question, okay? Our question is, how did you know when to take those, when you were dribbling fast, what touches did you take? The longer touches, right? Maybe harder touches. And when did you take softer touches? When you're where? Oh, okay, I see. Just hold the ball, please. Where do we look when coach talks? Where? Okay, thank you. So, how do we know when to take those soft touches? Tell us again, Eduardo. That was a great answer. When you're close to the defender. Okay. So guess what happened in the middle there? Yeah, we opened it up, didn't we, Tony? So no more defending zone. So do you think it's going to be easier or harder now? Okay. So how do we find those openings? What do we want to answer the question? What do we do, Mark? Okay. All right. The last part was spot on. We look at the opponent. We look for those openings, right? And if we find the opening or we've created one, now what do we do with the ball? Now we dribble forward. That's right, Mark. Excellent. To the safe zone. So we're going to play one more time. Leave your soccer balls here. Go get a quick sip of water. Come back. And let's get 2 new defenders.
Well, notice Zach is making choices on addressing certain player behaviors. Both these kind of behaviors and both these kind of behaviors. And these ones he's praising and rewarding. And these ones, what's he doing? At the beginning, he's ignoring them. He's leaving them. He's not giving that attention to that player. So kids are kids. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. That's how that coach responds to their needs, to their behavior. So kids of this age demonstrate certain behaviors, and that informs the coach. So if the children behave a certain way, what does that mean for my behavior? And we're going to help the Grassroots coach through these courses understand how my behavior is based on the children's behavior, based on bringing them further toward the training session goal, but the love of soccer and ultimately things that go well off the field. Coming back to practice, the purpose of practice and going a bit more into detail to improve the player's abilities related to the session goal through targeted activities, that's what you see here, and specific interventions such as guided questions, keywords, demonstrations, and feedback. You heard guided questions, you saw the use of keywords, you observed demonstrations, and you picked up on the feedback that Zach was giving. So those 4 basic interventions were being used, and it's about preparing the players for the final play phase.
All right. So right here, how can you guys find an opening? Even right here. Show me. Where could you find an opening right here? What about where you start from? Where could you start from, Mark? Where's everybody at right here? Oh, I see Eduardo's figuring it out. Anthony's figuring it out. Okay. Good. Come on back, Tony. All right. Deontay, can you take that off and just hold it? I know you love playing defender, man. But your goal is to take the ball away so you can get a chance to get it and dribble. Got it? All right. Players, are we ready? Let's play. Hey, Tony, what kind of touch did you take there? Where was the defender? Go. Can you find that opening, Naomi?
I'm going to put the 5 elements up again so that you can have a quick read and work through applying these yourselves. So look at the activity, look at the 5 elements, and ask yourselves those questions. Put yourselves in the shoes of the coach.
Hey, let's make it a little more challenging for everyone. Let's add you in as a 3rd defender, okay? Let's see if they can figure it out. Don't let them know, Jacob. See if they can figure it out. Come get it, Jacob. Jacob, great job of taking that soft touch as you were close to Anthony there. And then you took a hard touch to get around him to go faster. Great job. How can you go faster? What kind of touches to take there, Deontay? Excellent. Okay, let's be careful over here, okay? Okay, and hold. Everybody come on in right here. Thank you, Jacob. 3, 2, 1. Hey, Mark, do me a favor. Stand up right there. Stand up right there. Yeah, I got the ball. All right, so if I'm dribbling at Mark here, I've looked up and I see that he's there. And I'm dribbling, I want to change directions. How do I do that? What part of the foot do I use? Yeah, I use the side of my foot, maybe my laces, and I push it past him. So if I can't go forward, maybe I'm using a different part of my foot to try to create an opening to get around him. Okay? So we go back out and play, and we're taking those soft touches as we get close. Now what can we use? What kind of touches? But before we take those long touches, the short touches, and what part of our foot might we have to use? Side, what else? Inside, what else? Laces. Backwards. So we have a lot of options there. Okay? So let's see if we can play one more time, and then we'll get a water break. So let's go back out and play. Let's get 3 new defenders. And then we'll play.
So if you notice that Zach's interventions are quick, right? 15 seconds, maybe that was 60. So it's that idea of how do we help the grassroots coach recognize that lecturing about all the things you read about the technique of dribbling in a book yesterday is not what we're trying to then go out on the field and impart on our kids. Very, very simple. How to change direction with the ball. I'm a grassroots coach. I don't know much more than try to use different parts of the foot, and I want them to go out and do it. And I want to keep it short and sweet and to the point, so that when we measure, if we measure how much of the training session were the kids active, how much of the training session were the kids active playing soccer, the percentages should be high. That's not easy for a lot of our grassroots coaches because they're trying to figure out how to manage the environment and manage the time and organize the session. So we're going to guide them through that and give them the tools that they need to be able to implement this training session and 95 other ones as effectively as Zach is doing here in a simple and yet enjoyable and yet manageable manner.
So one of the players came up and he asked me, he said, hey, it's still too easy for us, coach. Can you add another defender? I said, sure, why not? Go grab a pink bib and jump in there. And so now we have a few more defenders. And now let's see, going through the 5 elements, looking at, is it challenging? Now, is it balanced, or are we having a little bit less success? Is it too challenging for them? Good. Can you find that opening? Go ahead, get in there. Go ahead, dribble at him. Anthony, great job of using the outside of your foot to touch it around the defender there. Well done. Okay, and time. Everybody, quickly, go get a quick sip of water. Can you collect the pink bibs for me and set them right over there in the corner? Thanks, Sylvia.
So let's think quickly just about the feedback that Zach is giving. So we talk about feedback being positive, being specific, thinking about the timing of the feedback. When do I actually provide feedback? How much, right? And individualized. So if you just listen and analyze some of the feedback, there's a name, there's something positive, and something specific to that. So the idea behind guiding grassroots coaches, and again, not thinking that the majority of you are volunteers who have never coached soccer, but most of the people in this room are coaches who are coaching and have been coaching. That's why you're here. So maybe some of those folks aren't here. Certainly the majority of them are not. So how do we help those folks, typically those volunteer moms and dads, players, teenage players who want to start coaching? What a big difference it is between playing and coaching. Maybe players who played all the way up through our national teams and pro leagues but have never coached a day in their life, and now their 8-year-old says he or she wants to play soccer. So we're thinking about the populations and how we can best as we've said already, support their needs.
5 seconds.
Zach is now transitioning to the second play phase. So you've seen the play phase, the first one, the practice phase, and now it's about transitioning to the second play phase. And the second play phase is meant to replicate the game. And when we talk about replicate the game, we mean as close to the game. That includes the player development initiatives, that includes the laws of the game, and that includes whatever the environment they are in on Saturday. I'll use Saturday as the game day. We want to replicate it as close as possible and give them that opportunity to apply what they've learned.
Give me the balls, please. Thank you. Give me the ball, please, Abraham. Thank you. All right, who wants to play? Yeah, okay, so where do we need to look when coach talks then? Nice, thank you. So we need 4 greens to defend that goal. 1 person will be on the side with me. I got the ball, Will. Thank you. So we got 1, 2, 3. Abraham, you go 4. Will, you're with me over here. You'll sub in. Over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Tony, come here. Anthony, you're in. Tony, come here. Deontay, come here. So you're the sub over here, okay? All right, guys. So we're going to start. You guys stay here with the subs. I promise I'll get you right into the game, okay? Everyone's going to play. Sylvia, can you help me move that goal over just a little bit there? Hey, Mark, can you guys move the goal over a little bit that way so we have it centered? See if you can get a partner to help you. Be careful.
Let me make a really quick safety statement, and it's probably pretty obvious for all of you sat in the first 4 or 5 rows over there.
Okay, don't
so I'm just sort of forecasting. I've got this image in my head. And
ball here. I need you to be the sub.
Be aware.
Okay. Mark, let's start with green kickoff. Green team kickoff. I'll let you guys decide. Will, Anthony, Tony, you guys come over here with me. And we already have a ball there, so let's bring that one back. All right, so all the rules of soccer are going to play. 4 on 4, that's correct. All right, let's play. Can you guys stand over here on the sideline with me? It's because you've been doing a lot of dribbling today. You've been doing a lot of good dribbling today. Yeah. Okay. Who are you going to go in for?
I go for
Just think about no goalkeepers and kicking or dribbling.
What's his name there?
Edward.
That's Eduardo?
I go for Abraham.
Okay, you got him. Edward, come out and join. Deontay, go join your team. Hey, can you guys help Deontay to get out of the goal? So he's coaching the other team. He needs to be coaching the green team, right? That's great. Come on, Will. Come on, go over. So 4v4, guys. No goalkeepers here, okay? Tony, let's step out over here. Okay, you've got that. 3 minutes. I'll let you know when. Who are you going for?
So if you notice, Zach is organizing the players.
Naomi?
It's not coaching. It's the game for them to now apply what they've learned. He may decide to give them a reminder question. He may decide to give them a reminder keyword. But essentially, there's silence, and the children are playing.
3 minutes.
And if you look at here where we have our second play phase, I'll just read it to you, because some of you probably can't see it from where you are. The second play phase mimics the real game, allowing players to freely implement what they've learned from the first 2 phases, to freely implement. The purpose of the second play phase is to allow players to independently apply what they've learned and check for player understanding of the goal. So to check for player understanding of the goal.
How do we know where the opponent is?
By doing long passes or
What do we first have to do?
think about where are you going to, like,
Okay? Before you can think about where you're going, what do you have to do with your neck and your head? Okay, look up and see where we're going. Look up and see where the opponent is, right? 1 minute. Okay. And so once we find that opening, how do we get there? What do we do through the opening? Okay, we've looked up. There's an opening. How do we get there? What do we do with the ball?
Do skills, do something like.
Okay, we're going to dribble forward, right? Okay. Let's make our subs, guys.
So you might have noticed Zach's attention actually is with the players on the sideline. He's engaging these players here. So every player should have an opportunity to learn. Every player should feel engaged and feel important and be given attention. So he's actually got the players on the sideline, and he's asking them questions and asking them to watch and observe. That's a simple task for the Grassroots coach as long as they're guided and encouraged to do so.
You guys having fun out there?
You might see some players throw the ball in, some roll it in, some kick it in, some dribble it in.
Back up a little bit.
At the 4v4 level, those are all okay. We actually think throw-ins are needed. Kick in, pass the ball in, dribble the ball in, play soccer. The throw-in, they'll learn that later on. So there's not this need to say we need to make sure we blow every whistle and call everything and make sure it's all perfect. It's within the 4v4 context. And we use our player development initiatives to bring that to light. Because what it does is it allows them to keep playing without interruption.
Bring it back, guys. How do we do that there? Do we punt it in? Let's give it to Mark. Let's try it again. Let's do a throw in, Mark. And crowd participation. I got a home run double there. Okay, so I'm going back through the 5 elements checklist. Number 1, organization. What do you guys see? What's missing? What are we missing? The ball went up there, and instead of quickly grabbing the ball and playing, so looking at it, it's not organized. So if it's not organized, how can I work through the rest of the checklist? Okay, so now, as I'm going to watch, I'm going to see if I can get my subs to help me, maybe collect some extra balls and set them outside the field so we can keep it organized. Hey, Abe, can you go and grab 2 soccer balls from over there and set them beside that goal for me? Go around the outside, though, okay? Go around the outside. Okay. Jacob, come here. Tony. Hop up. Come on. Let's walk off with me.
So there's a moment where you notice he tasked the player. He talked about it not being organized, and we've got players available, and they're always willing to help out, hopefully. So the player can get the task and take part. And it sounds like something simple, but it's important to recognize that giving that player responsibility, giving that player attention, having that player help the coach, that's a moment. That's an important moment.
Good try there, Will. Okay. Hey, was the ball out of bounds there, guys? Yeah, it was off green over here. So where do we start, Sylvia? What do we call this kick right here? That's right, goal kick. So you can take it. Hey, where can you find an opening? Show me. Go. Good. Jacob, how can you find an opening? Great.
And if you notice again in the PDIs, it talks about something like the goal kick. Most of the fields aren't going to have a line there. So it's within the vicinity of the goal. It literally says take the goal kick within the vicinity of the goal. Because I don't know if I've got fields everywhere with all the, goal boxes and penalty areas, and I probably don't. I've got a space.
Good job, Mark. Way to find an opening there.
Make sure the kids can keep playing. That's the key.
Okay, let's start with it. So after a goal scored, what do we start at? Yeah, it's a goal, right? So after a goal scored, what do we start? Right here. What's this called? How do we start the play? Kickoff, right? Here we go.
Zach. Do a halftime, and then we're pretty much done.
Yeah.
So I'll announce it.
All right, next time you sub in, you're going to go in.
So just
for
like
Mark.
in
You go in, you're gonna
the
go in
game
for
that we're
Naomi.
trying to
You go in,
replicate,
you're going for Sylvia.
we've
Go ahead.
actually introduced
And time. Come
a
on in, everyone.
halftime. So Zach is actually going to have a little mini halftime.
Tony, come here.
Gives them an opportunity to regroup with the kids. And this is deliberate. Within the
Halftime.
final play,
5,
we
4,
introduce a halftime,
3,
and the
2,
coach can go
1.
through that
Come
little
on in.
space.
Leave the soccer ball, Tony. Come to me. All right. Halftime. Go ahead. Have a seat. Take a knee. Catch your breath. Okay, eyes here. Where do we look when a coach talks? Okay. Good. We having fun out there? Yeah, a lot of fun. Okay. How are we finding those openings? I see we're doing a pretty good job of it.
Dribbling forward and looking up to see your partner.
Wait a second. What did you say there, Mark? The last part?
Looking up to look for your teammates to see if there's an open space for them to pass and score the goal.
That's great.
That's how we got our goal.
So he's finding the opening by looking up, seeing where the defender is, where the opponent is, right? And if the defenders are blocking you, I'm not going to talk while you're talking. All of us. So, if the defenders have closed the opening, how do we create one?
But look where your partner is going.
Okay, we're looking up, but what also do we have to do? And when we move around, what do the opponents do? They move around as well, and that's how we create those openings. And once we've found an opening or we created an opening, we pass forward or we do what with the ball?
Shoot it.
What do we do in the practice activity? Skills. What kind of skills?
Scissors.
Scissors? What kind of scissors? What kind of move is a scissors? Is that a passing skill?
No.
What is it?
That's moving skill.
A dribbling skill, right? Yeah, nice job, Tony. So we can either pass forward or dribble forward. And if we want to change directions, what part of the foot can we use?
Outside.
Outside. What else? Laces.
Inside.
Okay, so different parts of our feet, right? Okay, so when we go back out in the second half, let's see if we can find those openings, okay? Or pass or dribble through them.
3-0.
Okay, so let's go back. Second half, we'll play for 5 minutes and then it's game.
So that's all a check for understanding. That's this
let's
idea of
switch sides.
checking for understanding. Have the players been able to understand and apply what they learned in the practice phase? So you heard them come back with the responses. And Zach had a follow-up to get dribble to come out. Kid talked about a scissors. Good. How do we follow that up? One child got up and started to dribble around. Good. That's okay. So this idea of checking for their understanding, one showed us that he understood. The other verbally told us that she understood. And the other needed a little extra follow-up question to get there. But we got to that point where we said, okay, that's clear, at least for today. And they continue in their final play phase.
Good. Dribble at him. Go forward there. Tony, can we dribble through that?
How you doing on time?
We need like 1 more minute.
Okay.
Have him pick up the gear.
I'll wrap it up. We're going to go about another minute. Then Zach will wrap up the session, and I'll give you a couple of more pieces of information before we finish this particular hour.
Good. Dribble at him, Tony. Dribble. Nice move. Well done. Keep going, Tony. Go forward with it. 30 seconds. Okay. Guys, when we're done here, can we help collect all of the gear? So all of these things on the sideline, all the bibs, all the soccer balls, and we're going to meet me in the corner, okay? Thank you. Everything in this corner. Hey, can we find an opening, Abraham? Good. All right, where's the opening at? Where's the opening? Tell him where to go. Play. 5, 4, 3, 2. And bring it back. Bring it back, guys. Will, come here. Throw-in's got to be done correctly. All right, so this is where we learn the rules, so we get another chance. Come back here. Let's throw the ball in. We're almost done. Well done, Will. Way to find the opening there. Good. Good try. And time. All right, stop. Stand still, players. Eyes here. Hey, excellent job. Thank you for listening. Can we grab all of the gear that we used, all the balls, all the markers, all the bibs? Meet me right over here. This has been a great group. You're very smart. I think we can do it in 20 seconds. Ready, set, go.
So Zach's going to help them,
Don't shoot it.
help each other clean up, get everything put
Tony,
back
can
in
you
order.
Do me a favor.
And what I want to convey to you as we come near the conclusion of this is another resource. Everything that you just saw Zach do was done according to what we call the Grassroots Training Session Manual. The training session manual is broken down into the first play phase, the second play phase, the practice phase, and the second play phase. And this is a sort of informal script. It's the grassroots coach who is able to use the training session manual as he or she goes through the training session. So you've got the training session plan. You have the observational structure of the 5 elements. And you've got this training session manual which guides you through how to organize, when to intervene, when to ask questions, when to use keywords, how to transition between the different phases. And that little tool is meant for that grassroots coach to feel more empowered and more confident in his or her work with the children. Once we're done, Zach and I and all of our U.S. Soccer Coaching Education Department will reflect.
Tony.
We'll ask Zach to look back at the training session. Reflection is such a key part of what we do in coaching. So Zach will actually ask himself those questions. How did he do in achieving the goal of the training session? What did he do well? What could he have done better? Tony. And we have somebody that can mentor Zach because everybody needs a mentor. So Zach and his mentor will look at that and they'll think through, okay, what went well? What could go better if I do it next time? So Zach has to go through the practice, learning habits, just like the kids, of reflecting, just like the kids. And then with a mentor, perhaps, think about his next steps in learning.
Come on, guys.
Good. Okay, let's bring everybody in. Come on in, kids. What I have done on the screen there is just put up the new U.S. Soccer Coaching Education pathway. You'll see the grassroots piece at the bottom, and you'll see the pro pathway at the top. I'm going to leave that there so you can start to get familiar with that graphic. It talks about the licenses that we just mentioned here, and it gives you an opportunity to see how it all fits together. But to finish first and foremost, let us say a huge thank you to these wonderful boys and girls and all the job that they did. You want to take a bow? Come on over. Come on over. Come on over. Hey, guys. Hey, boys. Come on over. On 3, we're going to take a bow. You know how to take a bow? On 3. Ready? 1. Look, you're going to go like that on 3. 1, 2, 3. Give them a round. And well done. Good job.
Thank you, guys.
And let us give a round to Zach for the work he did with the children today. Thank you very much, Zach. And that's it, other than to announce that on, and I'm going to need help with the time, Saturday.
2:30.
At 2:30, Zach and I will be bringing this play, practice, play, a grassroots player development philosophy into the classroom. So Saturday at 2:30, we're going to bring this more into the context of the classroom and be able to expand on some of the things we did here a bit further. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and enjoy the convention.
Thank you.